My guess is that many of you have been attracted to this 6 to fix by the title Avoiding Death by KPI, because certainly in our experience when we visit clients, the number of performance measures people are being expected to review, the number of KPIs they're expected to review are getting to a level where frankly they are blind as a result of the sheer volume. So what I'd like to cover relates to the 6 to fix, the essentials to avoid death by key performance indicator. Just to really emphasize our philosophy, our speciality at NSF is really encouraging companies to believe that, well, when it comes to lots of things actually, but KPIs in particular, less is more. The less you measure, paradoxically, the more you know. The more you measure, you then become blind to that measuring process. The measuring process becomes more important than the improvement that the measures are there and designed to achieve. So remember, less is more. Well, these are our 6 to fix. Your 6 to fix to avoid death by measure and to ensure that you get the best you can from your KPI system. Number one, remember the purpose of key performance indicators. They're there to drive improvement. That's it. They're there to provide benefits. So they've got to be specific, they've got to be measurable, but you've only got to measure what is of greatest importance. So remember the purpose, it's to get everybody going in the right direction, is to ensure that improvement takes place through measuring the right things in the right way. So often I think we've forgotten the key purpose of KPIs. We get so immersed in that process and forget that they're there to drive improvement. Number two, make sure that you think about the behaviour you want to drive before you choose the measure. So often measures drive the wrong behaviour, so think really carefully about the behaviour, then you select the measure. And if you're not getting the right behaviour, change the measure. That's number two. Number three, make sure that you have more leading indicators than you have lagging indicators. Two types of indicator. You have the leading indicators that measure the process, and you have the lagging indicators that measure the output from that process. So those lagging indicators are typically financially driven, performance against order due date, those types of things. In effect, those indicators tell you too little, too late. They tell you what has happened. You have no opportunity to respond. So the best-in-class practice is to make sure you have really meaningful, but only the ones that really matter, measures on the process, so that when you measure the process, the outcome, the output is guaranteed. So make sure you have more leading indicators than you do lagging indicators. Number four is really, really important. We've mentioned it already. Remember the law of the vital few. Choose those 20% of measures that provide 80% of benefit, because the less you measure, the more you know, because people then start to focus on those vital few. You try and measure everything, people just become completely confused by the numbers, the process, and it becomes a tick box exercise, and ultimately nobody benefits and the process doesn't improve. Number five is really important. Make sure measures are as real time as possible. And in other words, you collect the data, you interpret the data, and you react to the data in the shortest possible time. And if you can visualize a pilot in front of those controls and dials in the cockpit, that for me is the picture of a good performance management system, where that data is real, it's real time, and it's being reacted to very, very quickly. The bigger the gap between data collection and reaction and interpretation, the more wasteful that process is. And finally, number six, make sure you're constantly reviewing your KPIs. Make sure that you're always going back to see whether they are doing what they are there to do, which is to improve performance. And if they're not achieving that, go back and rethink all of these top five, because clearly something is clearly wrong. So that's your introduction to the best-in-class practices, your 6 to fix for KPIs, so that you actually adopt that less is more, and I hope that's given you some guidance as to how to do and what to do and why to do.